World Championships are coming up for Pokemon TCG. We are getting news of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and I would like to go over a few things that I would like to keep for the Scarlet and Violet format that we still have in Sword and Shield, and a few things that we've gotten in Sun and Moon as well. First thing on the list, once per game attack ability effect. We have gotten V-Stars in the format recently, starting in Brilliant Stars. They have given us essentially GX attacks, but they can be abilities as well. So they can be used at any turn. Stuff like Arceus V-Star, stuff like Palkia V-Star are very strong, very prominent, and they provide a lot of strategy to the game. Some might say differently if they started with V-Stars, because you typically see these being activated first or second turn. But with stuff like Pichu Zekrom, stuff with Zeraora, they have typically been activated later in the game when it's more relevant to do so. And it can change the tide of battle if you're very low down, like very far down in the game. One GX attack or one V-Star power can change the tide instantly. A bit more of a hot take, but three prize Pokemon should not exist in Scarlet and Violet, and with Terastallizing, which is the new mechanic in Scarlet and Violet VGC, I hope that those mechanics are not VMAX Pokemon or Tag Team Pokemon. Three prize Pokemon ruin the flow of the game as they give up half of the game and make them shorter by comparison. If you look back at formats like Sun and Moon to Lost Thunder, those are well regarded as one of the best formats in the game because meta was diverse, games were slower, and they were slower, so in turn they took longer, and you had more skillful decisions to make. Three prize Pokemon do kind of ruin that because they are just swing hard for high punish. Like they swing hard and they are like pretty tough to knock out for a three prize Pokemon. And when you do knock them out, well, it's half the game gone right there. And taking half the game means just two KOs and your game is over. Number three, actual disruption effects. This is a custom card that I created on a card maker, and it is essentially how I would like to see N return because Marnie and Roxanne are really good disruption effects that we have right now, but N is just far superior. Where this is consistency in early game and disruption late game. Roxanne is just disruption late game. Marnie, despite giving your opponent a hand of four, that's not that punishing in this current format because it can give them outs to Inteleon, it can give them draw outs for Bibarel, and you have to almost always combo with this with Path. Same thing with Roxanne, you have to combo with Path most likely. With N, you're getting six cards at the start of the game, and unlike Roxanne, it's not a dead card at the start. N is peak disruption in a lot of players' opinions. Ask so many players who played in Black and White, X and Y era, if they could bring back one card, what would they bring back? Most likely, it's going to be N. Number four, go back to regular GX evolution. Compared to V and V Star, or V and V Max in this case, starting a one prizer and then evolving into a two prizer is less punishing. There have been several games against Mew V Max where if you start just lone two prizer and they knock it out, you might as well just scoop them in there because you can't really come back from that because they are just going to keep knocking out two prizers that you bench to try and evolve into your stronger two or three prizers. With the regular GX evolution in Sun and Moon, that wasn't the case. You bench a one prizer, and yeah, if it gets knocked out, you're not getting your next attacker, but your opponent's only taking one prize compared to two. And last I checked, taking six knockouts to potentially 6 to 4 knockouts for GX evolutions is much slower than taking 2 or 3 knockouts to end the game with Vs and Vmaxes. Number five, one of the best mechanics I've seen, Lost Zone. Lost Zone is coming back in Lost Origin, which is coming out in September. It is bringing back one of the best mechanics. The Lost Zone essentially acts as a second discard pile, but you cannot recover any cards from it. So once they're gone for the game. And a lot of cards interact with the Lost Zone. Most notably was Lost March from Sun and Moon, where it did 20 damage for each Pokemon in the Lost Zone, except for Prism Stars, which were one per deck Pokemon, well, not one per deck, but like one Prism Star of any name. And then in the new set, Lost Origin, we have cards like Mirage Gate that require 7 cards in the Lost Zone. So you have cards like Colress, you have Comfey to draw cards and put them into Lost Zone. Uh, the interaction with the Lost Zone is really unique, and I hope that they keep experimenting it with Sword and Shield because it feels like every time they bring back Lost Zone, it's a one and done thing. I hope that they keep going, even after Lost Origin in Sword and Shield 12. I hope they keep going with Lost Zone. Shrine of Punishment. Now, this was an interesting stadium card of its time. It did 1 damage counter for each to each GX and EX in play. Obviously, this text would likely be updated to be rule box Pokemon, so it's future proofed. This allowed decks like Buzzwole Garb and Zapdos Jirachi to shine. It allowed one prize decks in general to just be aggressive. It helped them hit numbers because at the time, GXs, um, basic GXs had max 180, 190. One stage 1 GXs had like 210, 220, and stage 2 GXs had max 250. Even in tag team era, Zapdos was still a relevant deck because it could 2-shot or 3-shot the tag teams, and it had the Ultra Beasts in the deck to swing on certain prize turns, and it could just uptrade. Shrine of Punishment allowed for uptrades with one prize Pokemon. You build your deck around it. It literally one of the top decks at Worlds 2018 was Buzzgarb Shrine. The fact that Shrine made it into the name should tell just how powerful this stadium was. And it would be really, really interesting if Shrine of Punishment could come back. Number 7, this is kind of vague, but stop giving us the engines right away. I know I just started praising Lost Engine and how it's going to be really good next set, but it's blatantly obvious who you're supposed to pair it with, being Giratina. Now, it's not like it is obvious that you're supposed to pair it with Giratina, but there are a lot of other decks that you can pair it with. You can pair it with people have been pairing it with Amazing Rares. I've been theory crafting pairing it with other Dragon types. People have paired it with Gudravi. Anything that requires 2 different kinds of energy at least can work with the new Lost Engine just because Mirage Gate accelerates 2 different energies. But one of the biggest offenders is likely Mew VMAX, where Fusion Strike was just a dump of full support for Mew VMAX. And if you look at Mew VMAX decks, there are essentially 3 to 4 different cards that were not from Fusion Strike, the set. There may be more, but just off the top of my head, there are less than 10 cards that are not from the Fusion Strike set. 10 unique cards, that is. They're not from the Fusion Strike set. So this was like one of the biggest offenders of just giving us an archetype right on the ball. Number 8, unique Gust effects. Now, Boss's Orders is one of the most prevalent cards in format right now, and it's just Gust up a Pokemon, no questions asked. A lot of people have liked Lost Thunder format, Sun and Moon, not Sun and Moon, Lost Thunder, Ultra Prism, Ultra Prism onward pre Rebel Clash, because we had Custom Catcher and Pokemon Catcher as one of our only Gust options. So you had to rely on coin flips, you had to rely on grabbing 2 Custom Catchers at once. And at the time we had Dedenne, which was ditch your hand, draw 6. So you had to debate on if you could afford to ditch a Custom Catcher and draw more cards, or you would have to hold your Custom Catcher and potentially brick your hand. It rewarded skillful decisions. Same thing with like Umbreon VMAX and Cross Switcher. Cross Switcher was a pseudo reprint of Custom Catcher, just without the 1 card advantage, which was kind of an issue. It is still an issue right now. There's a lot of people, a lot of times where you have 1 Cross Switcher, you can't do anything with it. At least with Custom Catcher, if you had 1, you can draw till 3. Umbreon VMAX and Lycanroc GX, Midnight Lycanroc, they have the same ability. When you play this Pokemon, you may switch one of your opponent's benched. It was just Gust on evolution. And it was one of the strongest effects printed because it was Gust on a non-supporter card. So you could play any of these 3 cards and Gust up a Pokemon and still play stuff like Marnie, like Research. Um, I would say like N, but that was never in format, unless you count like in Rock GX. Um, yeah, it allows you to play essentially a second supporter, and it was really fun to try and it was really fun to play around with these cards. There was a time where we still didn't have a reprint of Boss's Orders. We expected rotation to be this year after Worlds, and we predicted that we would have lost Boss, but no, it got reprinted in Brilliant Star, so it is staying around for a bit longer. So until we got the Bosses reprint, we were expecting the Battle Styles Onward format to be Cross Switcher, Umbreon, Escape Rope to be our only Gust options, but nope, we are keeping Boss, unfortunately. Number 9, capabilities consistent. This one is also pretty vague. What I mean by this is just going to be a rant about Mew, isn't it? Uh, Crobat Octillery. When you place Pokemon from your hand, draw up to six. Can't use more than one Dark Acid ability each turn. When you use this ability, search your deck for a Rapid Strike card. Can't use more than one Rapid Strike search ability each turn. Once during your turn, draw cards until you have as many cards in your hand as you have Fusion Strike Pokemon in play. Notice how it doesn't say you can't use more than one each turn? Yeah, this is not consistent at all because if this is too broken to be played from hand to draw six, what makes this less broken to draw six 4 times at most? Um, it creates a bit of an unbalance, an unfairness to other decks that aren't relying on Fusion Strike Pokemon, and it's just yeah, it's less consistent and it's a bit more unbalanced in terms of ability making, if that makes any kind of sense. And number 10, avoid printing unfun decks to play against. Again, a bit of a vague statement, but stuff that is obvious BDIF. Mew VMAX in Fusion Strike Pokemon went Mew VMAX in Fusion Strike format, I mean, went uncontested as BDIF because it had the consistent cross Fusion Strike, Technoblast, Fusion Strike system. Just draw through your entire deck turn one, smash. At the time, we didn't have Brilliant, we didn't have V-Star Pokemon, so you had to rely on VMAX Pokemon, so Mew was very heavily up trading because of stuff like Meloetta, because of just Mew VMAX in general. You had to take 7 prizes on Mew VMAX because they would go Meloetta, VMAX, VMAX, and then they take 6 prizes on you because you would just be swinging in with a VMAX. A lot of people at the time played Dark to try and counter it, but that was only effective on Mew, and you take a loss to most of the format. Um, you took a loss to most of the rest of the format if you just played Dark to try and counter Mew. You had to try and build your Dark deck to beat other decks. Probably the most infamous combo as well was Arceus Dialga Palkia. If you've been playing for a while, the term Boss Boss game will be very familiar. Might even cause some PTSD, which I'm sorry about. But Alter Creation essentially said, take an extra prize. They didn't really care about the 30 extra damage because you were swinging into the Dennis and Crobats, which had 160, 180 HP. The 30 extra damage only really mattered on Arceus Dialga Palkia because Zacian was 230. It was already knocking out those Pokemon anyway. Once it got Echoing Horn, it just got even more broken because you could knock out Dedenne, Echoing Horn it back, and then knock it out again with Boss. So that's why the term Boss Boss game came up, because you boss up Dedenne, knock it out, Echoing Horn, boss up Dedenne, knock it out. That's game. And these were probably two of the lowest points to be playing in TCG, especially this one, especially ADP Zacian, because it also was when we entered the COVID era, and we just had no physical play. Everything was online, and it was just boring to play the format at the time. Um, I remember a lot of online events were even banning ADP just because of how unfun it was to play against, and also how limiting it was because it limited one prize decks. It turned them essentially into GXs and Vs, and these two are like these two out of the time that I've been playing have been definitely the least enjoyable formats that I have been playing. So that is everything on the list. I know that Pokemon will not be watching this. I don't expect Pokemon will be watching this, but if by some miracle they do, I hope that if by anything, I hope that at least the stop with three prize Pokemon is what gets through because a lot of people have explained their distrust for three prize Pokemon. So with that, with everything finished, thank you very much for watching.